This is Marketing from the Front Lines, where we speak with B2B marketers who are in the trenches, bringing technology to market. Here's your host, Brett Stapper, CEO of Frontlines.io.
Hey, everyone, and thanks for listening. Today, we're speaking with Sherry Chapman, VP of Marketing at Fortera. Sherry, how are you?
I'm great, Brett. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Really excited for this conversation. And how we'd like to begin these conversations is with the big question: why and how did you end up in this world of marketing?
Yeah. Well, early days at Cortland State University, had to pick a major, picked communications, and just really fell in love with this idea of creativity mixed with business. Did try my hand on the design side to kind of work in the creative side, and figured out that was not my core strength. There's a lot of wildly creative people and I love working with them. They're the yin to my yang, but I really enjoy the art of growing a business, positioning a company or a product. And marketing lets me be creative, but also business focused.
Now, I know you're in the B2B world, but I also know you got your start in the consumer world. Talk to us about making that transition, going from marketing for consumers to marketing for B2B.
It's really interesting. And I'll tell you, I think the B2B world is getting a better benefit than the B2C world. It's a tough world in the B2C world. The folks that come out of the B2C world, they're so smart, so intelligent, wildly creative. And I've just been fortunate enough to, work the majority of my career in B2C. And now I'm at a B2B company, but I believe the remnants of B2C, I carry a lot of that thinking, a lot of that positioning, a lot of that, figuring out who the customer is, understanding pain points. What does that mean? And really speaking to audiences in an interesting way. Again, not that B2B marketers don't do that, but I just think if your background is really foundationally in B2C, you just come about it at a different way. And I'm not saying what I'm doing is the right way, but so far, so good, knock on wood.
I mean, I think what has to be unique is just the general playbook and the general philosophy, right? I speak with a lot of CMOs, a lot of VP of marketing, where they come in and they have a playbook, they run that playbook, then they go to the next startup, they run that playbook. For you, I would imagine that you had to kind of rebuild that playbook from scratch. You're using some consumer aspects, but then you had to rebuild. So you end up with something that's different. And I think being different right now is incredibly difficult to do, but it sounds like you have a path to do that.
Yeah, and it's a great question because coming in, one of the things I really wanted to define at Fortera was what is the white space we could own? And really figuring that out allowed me to kind of dive into what those pathways are and what that narrative is and, create content and materials and, start the process of the Fortera brand in a different way. And again, I'm not even going to pretend that I did this in a silo by myself. There are wildly intelligent folks at Fortera. There are PhDs and scientists and a lot of one-of-ones. This organization is full of folks who are very specific in what they've done. And they've done just something amazing, low CO2 cement, essentially creating a new type of cement for the construction, concrete industry. But how we were able to kind of create an area for ourselves, really gain a white space is this idea of transparency and really saying what we do and doing what we say. And that has led to a lot of organic reach for us. A lot of folks in the industry are picking up on that transparency and knowing that they can really trust what we say. And we're not just a shiny coin that is saying the latest and the greatest buzzwords that some startups tend to do, which is what I naturally want to do coming from consumer electronics industry. So it was really restraint, I have to say, has been the biggest superpower I've been able to develop at this organization because so many times I want to, shout from the rooftop. Even if we have a glimmer of something amazing, I want to shout about it because in the consumer electronics world, that's what you do because you've got to break through the noise. But at Fortera, our CEO, Ryan Gilliam, really wants to make sure that we don't announce anything until it's, locked in and it's proven and we can stand behind it. And, we feel really good about it and very proud of it.
When we take a step back and look at the marketing strategy or the marketing philosophy, how do you describe your marketing philosophy?
Our marketing philosophy really a lot of it is the 10 poles of our core beliefs as an organization. We stand behind our mission, paving the way to zero CO2 cement. And within that, it's all about our core beliefs, saying what we do, being very transparent in what we do, because there's this industry, the construction and the cement, concrete industry, these are products, they're making buildings that are life bearing. They need to trust you. They need to know that you're going to say what you're saying is the truth and what you're putting out there is going to meet all the specifications. So that trust has to be built in every little thing that we do, whatever it is, answering an email, follow up. So even from the marketing department, every little thing that we do layers into making sure we have that trust within the industry and that transparency. Again, there is nothing that we put on our website. There's nothing that we say that we can't back up, that can't be proven, because there is such an aversion in this industry for anything new, because you've got to build a bridge. You've got to build a hospital. You want to believe that cement, that concrete is going to meet all the specs that are required. So it's very much gaining trust and transparency and honesty.
This show is brought to you by Frontlines Media, a podcast production studio that helps B2B founders launch, manage, and grow their own podcast. Now, if you're a founder, you may be thinking, I don't have time to host a podcast. I've got a company to build. Well, that's exactly what we built our service to do. You show up and host, and we handle literally everything else. To set up a call to discuss launching your own podcast, visit frontlines.io/podcast. Now, back to today's episode.
How big's the marketing team?
It's myself, 2 creative teams, and a comms agency. And then we bring in various, outside firms as needed, but very little to no marketing budget really in the grand scheme of things in the consumer electronics world where, I came from, where I had big budgets, and then coming here where really nothing. And it was a little scary, but what I realized is that my marketing budget is my company and our solution. And all I needed was to showcase the brilliance of the organization and how amazing our product is and our solution is. And that was going to do the work. I didn't need to spin. And in the world of consumer electronics, consumer marketing, not that you don't have great products, but you're always spinning something. And I didn't need to spin. Again, restraint has been really my big, in fact, there are some times when I'm like, I could be doing this, and this, but then it's not time for the company because I can move so much faster than the company, but then I'm over promising things. Again, I'm spinning things. So the restraint of me going at the pace of the organization has been not a challenge, but it's been a great learning process for me.
In terms of tactics, what are you doing right now that's working?
Right now, we've got our first recarb plant up and going. Just a brief overview of Fortera. Cement is essentially the glue in concrete. And concrete is, besides water, the second most consumed material on Earth. So we need concrete. And cement, again, is the glue in concrete with some other things put in, sand and water. The problem that we're trying to solve is that to make cement, that contributes to 8% of greenhouse gas emissions. The process of making cement is that you heat up limestone so high that releases a CO2 molecule. What we do is we work with cement manufacturers. We bolt on our recarb process. We take that industrial CO2 that comes from making cement and we mineralize that and we make a new type of cement called React. And we call it a green cement or a low CO2 cement. So we have our first recarb plant that launched last year in Redding, California. And right now it's about proving out that our product works in projects. So a lot of case studies, a lot of third-party endorsements. We've got a number of case studies that we're promoting right now, working with the ready-mix suppliers, construction companies, getting their feedback. And again, their third-party endorsement. We can say all day how great our product is, but the industry is not going to believe it as much as if a construction manager or the foreman on a site or the folks who are doing the finishing on a site, on a project, what they have to say about it and the test data, the strength, the workability of the product. So a lot of third-party endorsements. And again, all of it organic. I don't know how to stress enough that I really do not have an external paid media strategy or program.
Is there anything that you started to experiment with and decided not to do, or just weren't seeing any good results?
Well, I've been threatening webinars for a while. We haven't done one yet, and only because, and I know I may get, I don't know, a lashing for a B2B person saying this, is that we have so much inbound. So it's this educational piece, but then also us wanting to be able to deliver on the inbound that we get. And so we're a little tempered on a webinar. I'm still going to hopefully do one this year, but it's just, I mean, every time we come back from an event or a trade show, the inbound for the team is so large for us to get through. And we're a small group. It can be overwhelming. So kind of demand generation, I've had to kind of pump the brakes. We still do a lot on LinkedIn. We do a lot of comms, media, press releases. We did a lot of events last year, not so much this year. We're just finalizing a lot of important partnerships that we'll announce later in the year.
This show is brought to you by the Global Talent Co., a marketing leader's best friend in these times of budget cuts and efficient growth. We help marketing leaders find, hire, vet, and manage amazing marketing talent for 50 to 70% less than their U.S. and European counterparts. To book a free consultation, visit globaltalent.co.
I mean, that's a great problem to have, that you have to slow down on demand gen. So I don't know if you get a lashing. I think you'll get a lot of jealousy from marketers that are listening in. Most that I talk to, if they're being honest, they're not facing that problem. They have the opposite problem.
Yeah, I know I'm going to get, but it's just the nature, because we are manufacturing a recarb process and we're very upstream. So we work with cement and lime producers. So we have to have these partnerships where we build onto cement plants, and then our product will be produced down the value chain. So it's those partnerships up top that we've got to really work on so we can have the plants in order to get the product into the market. So definitely there's the demand from the ready mix, from the architects, from the project managers who want to use a low embodied CO2 solution. It's just, we're now really at the stage of getting the plants developed.
Is this a matter of, there's enough demand for sustainable concrete that you just need to go out there and capture the demand? Or do you have to go out there and create demand and get people wanting to buy this in the first place? Then you can capture it.
Well, that's the pieces. Yeah, we've got to get the process. The plants have to be produced. From what we see, once we have the product, we don't have a problem getting it utilized. Folks want to use it in their projects. And that's just part of just the amazing scientists and the R&D team that we have. They've created a product that really hits all the bells and whistles of our industry and hits all the standards that we need. So yeah, once the product's in market, it gets consumed. That's not a worry. It's just building manufacturing plants takes time.
What other advice would you have for marketers who are trying to market to not the exact persona, but a similar persona? Maybe let's just say in the construction space. What advice would you have for them for marketing their product?
This space does not care about marketers. In the consumer, it's interesting. Yeah, I'm the least important person in this organization, without a doubt. Folks in this industry, they want to talk to people who understand concrete, people understand construction projects. They want to talk to folks who can speak their language. They don't want to talk to a marketer who spins stuff. Again, that's completely different from the consumer electronics and the CPG world, where the marketers are a bit of the rock stars. Here you are humbled by the absolute lack of attention that you get, which is, I'm fine with. It doesn't bruise my ego, but going in that they really do want to talk to the experts. And it's not a dig at marketing, but they don't care about the spin. They don't care about the marketing speak. They want to talk spec to spec. They want to talk about workability. They want to talk strength to strength, mixed designs to mixed designs. So it's a very industry to industry. The marketers are important, but we're not a shiny object to this industry.
What advice would you have for other marketers who are maybe crossing over from consumer to B2B?
Well, it's a great question. Obviously, it just depends on the world you live in. I'm a generalist. I'm more on the strategic side. So for me, it's a little bit easier to kind of go from industry to industry and product and solution to solution, where I'm not specific to demand gen or branding per se. So, as long as you understand the business model that a company has and you understand what their sales goals are, regardless of what it is and what the widget or solution is, then you really should be able to help them in a meaningful way with your toolbox. And what I would say, especially wanting to get into climate tech, which is the space really needs, especially with a lot of what's happening right now, with a lot of the cuts, there needs some creative ways to really push the industry forward, is not to be intimidated by the science or the technology. There's a lot of smart people. They need folks who can kind of think creatively and think outside the box and help them with their messaging and their story. A lot of it is story. A lot of it is really capturing the essence of what the tech is, but really telling the story to a wide audience. I think my storytelling ability as well has been very helpful because, again, the tech is amazing and the scientists are amazing, but you've got to be able to tell a story that folks can understand.
Amazing. And that's very helpful for advice for, I think, any marketers that are listening.
Yeah.
Look at B2B or complex, deep tech, hard tech, all of that kind of stuff. Very, very useful advice. Now we're going to wrap here. Before we do, where should people go if they just want to follow along with you, your journey as you build and execute this marketing program?
Oh, I'm on LinkedIn, Sherry Chapman, VP at Fortera. I'd say, though, if you want to know what I'm doing day to day, go to Fortera's LinkedIn page. That's pretty much a nice snapshot. And, website, we're always kind of updating that and just making sure it's fresh as possible.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you. All right. Have a great day.
This episode of Category Visionaries is brought to you by Frontlines Media, Silicon Valley's leading podcast production studio. If you're a B2B founder looking for help launching and growing your own podcast, visit frontlines.io/podcast. And for the latest episode, search for Category Visionaries on your podcast platform of choice. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode.